Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. This is our transfer review episode where we are going to be ranking Roberto Olabe's first Aston Villa transfer window. Villa fans, if you are new, make sure you are subscribing. Make sure you are smashing the likes. Let's try and get 1,000 likes on this episode and comment your thoughts on everything that we discuss. We got a lot to run through. We've got a lot of topics. We're going to run through a lot of things. We'll come to a section probably halfway through the episode where we're going to rank every signing. We're going to talk about some of the outgoings and we're going to give Villa, Emery, Olabe a ranking and we're going to give it a score out of 10. So I think first of all, I'm going to talk about what did I kind of want from the window. I felt we probably needed another attacker. And I think we obviously ended up getting our attacker and we got a new winger in Alisson, which we yet to see him. So it's very difficult to comment on that. But the business from kind of what I wanted was there. The striker profile, I really like. I think it suits us. I think it suits a different element of Villa on the way that we want to play within Tammy Abraham. So within Tammy Abraham, I like it. And even I haven't really mentioned much of him from the game against Brentford, but I think early on we can now start to see a little bit about what he's all about, what he's going to bring. I think he's kind of got that sort of multi-dimension about him where he can run off, he can peel into a channel, but he will like to be on the shoulder of a defender. We can see his work in the box with his dummy that he made. So I think it's really about Villa sort of working with our attacking players and sort of fine-tuning and building some partnerships. And we've really got to build those partnerships really quickly. I think Villa as a whole, we have to evolve, and this window has been about evolving. I think if you probably asked Unai Emery what his priority was, it was to get this attacker, it was to get a striker in. So massive tick for Unai Emery. And then we have to evolve and adapt in this transfer window because we have so many injuries and we maybe had to realign with what we wanted to do. Would we have gone into this window wanting to sign a central midfielder? Absolutely not. Not when you've got Kamara, Onana, Tielemans, McGinn, Bogard, Barkley. It wasn't needed, but Villa have been able to adapt. We've been able to move and get in a top priority position to like salvage part of the squad. And I think that is very, very good. We were able to get that done pretty quickly. It's frustrating that we weren't able to get first choice in Gallagher. I forgot his name then. I erased him from my mind. We weren't able to get first choice, but we brought in Douglas Luiz. And I think Emery's been sort of talking about how he wanted familiarity with the squad, a familiar sort of feeling with some of the players that he's wanted, players that he's worked before. So I do kind of like that element from him. So let's rank the players then that we've signed first. So we're going to kick it off and we'll start talking about Tammy Abraham first. So in the chat, rank the Tammy Abraham signing out of 10. I feel like this was a clever signing from Villa. I think it was one where you look at the striker market and you look at Strand Larsen for 45, is it bordering 50? And you look at Mateta for 30. I think Villa were able to get a player with great experience, knows the club, settling in periods should be fine, has played in various leagues across Europe, the buzz and vibe that the fans are able to give him. And like I mentioned earlier, I think the way in which he's been able to look at ease in this Villa team, especially on Sunday, it wasn't easy at times, but I think he looked a threat, which was really important. A lot of you in the chat have actually gone a lot lower than what my rating would have been. You guys have gone 8s, 7s, 8.5, 10, 7.5, 7, 5.5, 6.5, 8, 7, 8. My rating for him is like I've gone 10, guys. Right, I've gone 10 because I think for the money, I just can't see a player out there that's probably going to be able to adapt to Unai Emery as quickly as what we're going to need him to do. So my score is pretty high, but I'm bearing in mind the money that we've spent, the adaptation period. So I've gone 10 for Tammy, right? So next up in the chat then, let's go Douglas Luiz. And I think Villa moved very quickly on this. And again, the familiar surroundings for Luiz and Emery, the comfortable nature of us being able to pick up and play a player. I think the tempo was really fine from him on Sunday. I think the one problem that we had was the player next to him. I think we didn't have the right balance there for me. We didn't have as much probably aggressive dominance next to him, which might be needed because he does like to get around the pitch quite a bit. So, okay, on loan with a option to buy, would we trigger that? I don't know. But again, who out there can have the impact that Douglas Luiz can have? So I went in there and I've gave that signing another 10 because I think it's seamless integration, and we know what Unai Emery's like with some of these players where they have to adapt and be nurtured and it takes time. Like these two players are straight in, and I think that's the important element of this, and that's why I would rate both of those signings very high. Next up then, we're going to go with Alisson, and I've rated that one a 7. I'll give it a 7 because I actually like the signing. I like that we've scouted Brazil, but obviously we haven't seen anything from him. And all of the noise around Emery is the fact that he looks like he's going to be involved at Villa. Now, he's just coming off a season in Brazil, so he's come back to Villa and he's picked up a little bit of a knock. But I actually think it could have a good vibe. It could be good, but again, we don't really know. So I'd give it a solid 7. Maggio, I'll give a 7. Again, this is where we've really got to be clever now, and we've got to nurture this kid, and we've got to create some form of pathway. You know, he's been dubbed as this wonder kid, the next Lukaku. He's been highly sought after. The scouts are saying that he's going to be a really good player. The analysts are saying that there's a top player there. So it's about creating the right vibe for him now to flourish, maybe away from Villa, that when we need a striker, that he's able to be a pathway for him at Villa. So I think that's really important that we actually do this now, because we've signed a lot of players, a lot of young players, and they're just, I just can't see, you know, like that we're talking like the Mascaras, the Ozcans, the Nedeljkovic, the Garcias. Are they going to play for Villa? Probably not. So overall, with the 10s and the 7s, I think I'd rate the window an 8.5 in what we've been able to bring him, because this window is notoriously not easy to deal with. Villa fans, we've got over 150 watching, so if you can't hit the like button, that's highly appreciated. We'll get more Villa fans in here. And, you know, my next section that I really want to talk about, I think is very important. And it's quite serious, the next part of the conversation that we're going to have. Cheers, everyone, for hitting the like button. The views are going up there, so thank you for that. Right. We're going to talk about outgoings now. Bailey, yeah, I'm gonna get into Bailey. Right, we're gonna talk about outgoings, and we're gonna merge this into a section that's quite serious. So, Donyell Marlon left Aston Villa in this window, and a lot of Villa fans were very disappointed with this. That a player that everybody liked, and he was getting limited minutes, and we've decided to move him on after a year. Now, I totally understand where we are as a club in the transfer windows. We are in a very difficult situation. It's not easy for Aston Villa to operate with SCR particularly and PSR. We aren't allowed to just go out and spend what we want. So we have to be clever in the way we do things. And some things will create a little bit of sort of, they make a decision and you'll struggle to probably understand it, but to the club, to Emery, might make sense. Now, where I've kind of got a little bit of an issue is regarding the summer window, and probably the summer window from the season before, because we cannot keep getting into this situation where we're signing players and we're letting them go, or we are having a not so great summer window and we're asking for a lot in the January window. This window really shouldn't be used as another tool to finish your summer window. But to me, that's kind of what's happening within the last two January windows. The season before, we got Marlon, Rashford, Asensio. This one, we've signed a striker and we've signed a midfielder. So it's probably not as finishing the job off. But I look at what's kind of happened within this window, and we signed a player in the summer and we've let him go in January. And we spent 30 something million euros on Gesson. So I think we've got to make sure that we are better equipped in the summer window. Now, I look at what's happened here, and I look at Monchi, and it's so clear to see why Monchi left Aston Villa, isn't it? Because we've signed Marlon and we've let him go. We've then signed Gesson, and now he's not here. We've got Harvey Elliott, who has got this mad clause in his contract that now hasn't been resolved. As we speak right now, it's not been resolved. He's staying at Villa on loan with the same terms and the same contract. We've got a player that we're paying for, and we can't play the player because we don't want to trigger the clause in his contract. That's not good at all. So it leads me on to this next part about future windows and the way in which we've got to operate, and we've got to have a clear strategic direction. And this is what Olabe has been built on at Real Sociedad. When I spoke to a Real Sociedad fan, he was telling me that he's very meticulous, very strategic in his windows. So, for example, how I look at Maggio is the fact that we've signed this young player. We've spent a lot of money on him for a player of his age. We've gone out and spent a lot of money. So now he's meant to develop over the next maybe year or two. So he has got a pathway. So we do not have to sign a striker in 2 years' time. And we must be aligned on this strategy that he is going to progress. That is the ideal situation on how we've got to work. And I also think we've got to make sure that we are aligning Emery on the signings that we want as well. Because again, in the summer, there was the articles and the reports that Unai Emery has the final say on Aston Villa's transfers. But again, has he had the final say on Gesson? Has he had the final say on Marlon? Because if he has, then the Marlon one doesn't really make sense because we didn't utilise him and we couldn't adapt him into the system where he was playing consistent amount of minutes. Gesson has been playing on the right-hand side, doesn't look comfortable at all. So I don't really want this to be like really negative, but I think we need to make sure that we've got a clear strategy moving forward so that we don't end up with these situations where we're spending 30 odd million pound on Gesson and within 6 months he's out on loan with an option, or has he got an obligation into his contract? So I think that's just important that I've really mentioned this because, you know, we've got to make use of every single penny that we've got. And, you know, we just haven't really utilised these transfers. So again, Emery is sort of, if you look at, say, for example, we wanted a striker this window, you look at the profile compared to Marlon and Tammy Abraham, it's completely different. So in the space of a year, we've gone from a totally different profile. So I think it's about sitting down and adapting to what do we want from the system and how do we want to play it. So I think that is basically my issue as well with the windows and what we've been able to do. And again, like scouting the specific profile. So Alisson, when I've watched him quite a bit now, looks very Morgan Rogers-esque. Looks like it should suit us. So that is a plus point as well. And I think now we are in a situation where we need to plan for the summer. But obviously, this is where it becomes quite difficult for Aston Villa to plan for the summer because we will be dictated by what competition we qualify in. You will have Champions League targets, Champions League squad you want to build, or you will have a Europa League if we get in Europa League. And this is why, obviously, consistent, and I know it's very difficult, but say consistent challenging in Europe, consistent Champions League enables you to continually build your squad. So it's a very good level. So I think that's where I'm kind of at. We've got to make sure that we are planning now for the summer with a clear vision on what we want to do, whether that's with outgoings or whether that's with incomings. Address it early. Let's not have some sort of scattergun, everybody's for sale, etc. So I think that's my general makeup of the transfer window. Now, I just want to talk about where we are with our squad then, and just not sort of do like a rallying cry, but this is what we've got now. This is the squad that we've got, and we've got to make sure that we are fully motivated to get the job done here and make sure that we get Champions League football. You know, I've said it a lot. That it's very crucial to this football club that we get this Champions League. And Unai Emery is very demanding, and I am very, very demanding that we get Champions League football because it is crucial to the whole project. We've had Conference League, good building blocks. Reached Europe a little bit earlier than maybe we ever expected. We then got Champions League. We had a taste of it, and we all know what it was like. Absolutely amazing, magical. The money, Deloitte bring out their figures at the start of Jan or midway through Jan, and Villa's finances, record-breaking revenue, record-breaking this and that and everything. Why? Champions League football. So for Villa to progress, we've got to keep getting that. And you look at Unai Emery, it's crucial for him that we get Champions League football as well. He wants to win the Champions League. He even said he wanted to win it at Villa. And that's the ambition of the guy. And again, I think looking at where we could be in the summer, and again, I don't want it to be doom and gloom, because this is quite positive what I'm saying. Like, I'm really talking about us getting Champions League and reaching that level again, ending the season well, having a good season. But we all know possibly what might happen if we don't get Champions League. And I'm not talking about Unai Emery. I'm talking about some players. So it's crucial that we get it, because we want to keep hold of our best players. So the finances, it grows the club. It enables us to dine at the finest table, and it keeps us growing on and off the pitch. And, I think as fans, we've got to obviously get behind the team, believe in the team, but we've got to demand it, guys, because if we don't, then what's going to happen in the summer is not good, because we're going to be in probably the same situation that we were last summer, and look how difficult it was to get players. So we need that boost, and we've just got to keep pushing. And yes, we've got injuries, and yes, they're out and they're big players, but we've still got a good squad. We've still got a good midfield. We've got to just push ourselves to the limits and just keep going, because some of these players hopefully will come back as well. So again, if they do come back, like McGinn, etc., and Tielemans, then we've got a big boost towards the end of the season. So I think that's just basically where I am at, really. And I think I've seen quite a bit of stuff after the game saying sort of, who expected us to be third and who expected us to be doing this well this season and going on all 3 competitions. But I don't think now is the time to sort of like reflect on that, because we haven't actually achieved anything this season yet. And I think we can reflect on the season when it ends. So yeah, I just think it's just very important. I think this is a big phase for us now. This is a big phase for the end of the season, that we sort of finish off the job and get it done. So those are my thoughts anyway. I know whether I've just waffled a little bit there, but I think it's just about everybody stepping up, raising their levels. And it's just like in life, isn't it? It's somebody else's opportunity now to own the shirt, for example. So there we go. I honestly, I do think we can get Champions League football. I honestly believe we can get Champions League football. I think we can do it through the league, and I think we can do it through the Europa League as well. But I think it is fair for fans to feel a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for like a word where it's okay for us to sort of sort of like show how much we want something without but it coming across like negative. Like nobody's like moaning and getting frustrated about the loss against Brentford because they think we're a bad team and they don't think we're gonna they don't think we're a bad team and they're not being negative for a reason. But I think when there's so much at stake, you know, everything that I'm speaking about here, I think that inner sort of willingness for us wanting to do well, when you want something so much, you sometimes are going to be a little bit like frustrated and angry and annoyed because you know how much it can, you know what's at stake, you know what it means, and you know even sort of like you know Everton, Brentford, that's sort of like 6 points dropped, and you know you don't want to look back and have any regrets, and you want to make sure we're at the best and we can be now for the rest of the season. So I think it's just only because like we all care so much about the team. Right. So what I want you to do now before I go in the comment section is let me know your thoughts kind of in the window. Let me know how you're feeling towards the end of the season. Let me know how you're feeling, whether you think we're going to get Champions League, whether you feel like the Europa League is the main priority. Let me know everything, how you're feeling, because obviously I've been chatting away and I've not really been putting your comments on the screen. So I would actually like to put your comments on the screen, read them out, so you all sort of, your opinion does matter as well, rather than just me chatting for 30 odd minutes. So I'll read this one out. So I think we 100% get top 5 in Champions League and at least a Europa League final. Anything can happen in a final. Yeah, I feel like we've got every opportunity to definitely get to a final. It looks like we're taking the FA Cup very seriously as well. So that looks good as well. When we play Newcastle, they've got Karabag the game after. So what are they going to prioritise? I imagine Luke starting out the window looking for a shooting star so he can make a wish. What annoys me is even lower league clubs spending big money, but we can't bloody. Well, it's like this, isn't it? We've spent 20 odd on Marlon, 30 odd on Gesson. What's that? 50 something? And yes, we've made the money back on Marlon. We've got Abraham, but you know, we're spending money there. We've spent money on Addison. We've spent money on Mad Joe. So we are spending money. So we are bringing in players on big wages, but I do think it's about being strategically aligned because, like I mentioned, technically Marlon, Gesson and Elliott, I mean, Marlon was a semi-success because I think he scored goals and helped Villa. But when you're looking at the squad and what we've built, that weren't a success if he's only here for a year. So I don't know, the window evolves, and I know we got all these issues where we've got to move pieces, etc. But you know, we are bringing in players. Desperate to see Harry Wilson signed today. The window was good considering the injuries and financial instructions. Decent window. I believe it's enough for top 5. Players to come back. Clubs in a good position. Yes. We've got to be resilient with fortitude and be tenacious. We will finish top 5. Absolutely love that from you, mate. How can we win anything with Martinez? Oh, I think that's a bit harsh, mate. I think that's a bit harsh with Martinez. Yeah, I think we've got every chance with him. I mean, he's World Cup winner, so he's played on no bigger stage than a World Cup final. It was fairly good. I think Emery wants a window like last January instead of this one. Personally, I know PSI is an issue, but with the injuries and signings coming in, lack of depth will catch up with us. I think it doesn't cover the quality. It took 5 games to turn the team at the start of the season. This last game was the same. Part of a turning after a team revamp will be all right. Like that from you, mate. Hoping we finish top 3 and win the Europa Cup. Why not? We have a great manager. We do. Liverpool playing stupid games with Harvey Elliott. Oh, hello. Yeah, very frustrating with that situation. I think it's just a mess all round. Not the greatest of situations. I think everybody probably is, oh, what's the word, like liable for it. I mean, I could kind of see every angle with it, and it's just frustrating because had he not got the clause, he'd probably be playing a decent amount of games for Villa. Whether he suits our system, I still think he could be helping in different positions. I think 7 more wins will do it. Yeah, I think if we win half of our games, we will. I think we need to be realistic and play the kids for the FA Cup. We're in danger of doing what we did in our Conference League season, where we went out of the cup due to exhaustion rather than ability. Yeah, I think that's very, very fair. And I think that's fair. I think, especially with our injuries now, and still going to stick by this, guys. Still going to stick by this. I feel like with Onana, he shouldn't have played on Thursday. I'm still sticking by this, guys. I really do not think he should have played on Thursday. Emery talks about Premier League being the priority, which it is. And we could have had certain rotation for that game on Thursday. And we decided to rotate and rest Cash, which is fine. Cash, Consapau, that's fine. Matson, that's fine. But I look at someone like Onana, and I look at him and I just think, if we're going to have to manage your minutes, and we know you are injury prone, why did he play on Thursday? Because I stick by this. If he'd have played on Sunday, I think we'd have won that game. So it's about managing the minutes for everybody. But I think, especially the same as the Kamara one in the FA Cup, you know, there's 2 players there that get big injuries, and players that are out for substantial periods of time. I wouldn't have played Onana on Sunday, to be honest. But that's just my opinion. I don't. Anyone else can disagree or agree. That's fair enough. Martinez will do his job this season and be off in the summer. Yes, I think he will be off in the summer. We need to invest in more padding for the players to prevent these injuries. We will never win anything with Martinez in goal. Well, Will's going for this. Will is going for this. All these wasted transfers have unknown significant agent fees. We as fans are desperate to see our team do well and progress to become a power in this league. That the lows seem very low when we have become used to winning for so long this season. Yeah, and I just think we obviously have to try and max out every opportunity. Every opportunity. The more and more the league form starts to drop, the Europa League importance will just grow and grow. Well, I get what you're saying there, but I actually don't like that thought. Not your thought process. I actually don't like the thought of losing form in the Premier League and then the Europa League becomes the priority, because once you put all them eggs in one basket, that's your only basket you got left. So I want us to have 2 baskets full of eggs, and we go to the wire with 2 of them, because the pressure builds, and I don't like the thought of the Europa League just solely being our main focus. I believe we can win the Europa League, but we've got to do something there that we haven't done before. Qualifying for the Champions League is not new to Aston Villa. We've got muscle memory of what it takes to qualify for the Champions League in this league. We don't have muscle memory of winning trophies. The manager does, but we don't. So I think just we've got to make sure that we don't allow the form in the league to dip, so that becomes the sole priority for me. That's my vibe. We don't have any fees until the summer, so the club have probably spent every penny they were allowed to. Give me Debu in an FA Cup or Europa League final any day of the week. He'll be gone in the summer, and that's okay. I think we are all prepared for that, definitely. I think we are. A lot will depend on the bulk of our midfield. We'll realise what we have with Martinez when he has left. We have to believe in Unai will get the players we can use organised, and all comps are in reach. We can just cheer them on and hope that the team achieve. Come on. Rather, we sign one player in the summer for a bigger fee if necessary, invest in one piece of quality to improve the first team. Long we don't back to the Lambert days, it's all still great being a Villa fan. Right, I'm going to try and read some more. Stay calm, people are only getting anxious because we've lost 2 consecutive home games at Fortress Villa Park. I said at the start of the vid we probably would not have made a few of these signings, but needs must with the injuries. For the money we spent on Gaston, I wish we could have spent the extra 6 mil on Harvey Elliott. Considering Onana has durability of a soggy biscuit, we should just save him for the league. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Imagine we have 10 injuries for the Europa League. Oh, God, mate. Don't say that. Don't say that. I shouldn't have read that out. Yeah, smash the like button, people. Smash the like button. We got 236 watching. So if we can hit the like button, I'll keep going. If you guys keep commenting, and I'll keep going until the comments dry up a little bit. Any more injuries? Unai will play CDM. Caden Young has joined Reading on loan, covering for the remainder of the season. Who knows what could have, should have happened if Onana was rested. We must trust in Unai. The guy has won us way more points than we could ever have dreamed of, and everyone makes mistakes. Davis and Marlon playing against each other tonight. Is it Udinese? Roma then. Same old patterns on and off the pitch this season, and we never learn. I'd say, despite our concern and annoyance for yesterday's loss at Brentford, I'm willing to forgive and forget as we had 2 players to integrate, but we need to win v Bournemouth and see an improvement then. Why does Martinez want to leave so desperately? I don't know. I think some players sometimes want a fresh challenge. Who knows? Who knows? Right, so I think that's pretty much covered everything. I think it's covered my thoughts on how I'm feeling, and I feel all right. I felt like yesterday I was just so frustrated, and today I'm all right now. I think we are in a good position, and we've got to just keep going. We've got to just do what we can, but it's just all got to come together quite nicely. Everyone's got to play well, and we've got to maintain confidence and go on a run. You know, we did go on a run last season as well around this sort of time. So, you know, let's get everybody integrated with Abraham and Douglas Luiz feeling good. Let's hopefully get Alisson back in. Let's Let's see what he's all about. Let's get him involved in the squad. And yeah, like what Rich is saying, it's all about how we bounce back. I think that's massively important. I think away games probably quite suited for Villa. And then we've got 3 home games in a row. So yeah, we can rebuild some form at Villa Park and, you know, just get a win. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. Guys, make sure you hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe, and for the people that are watching it and weren't watching it live, comment your thoughts. Cheers, everyone. Oh yeah, I will say one thing. Cheers, everyone, for watching Transfer Hubs. I really do enjoy the transfer window. It's fun to react to the rumors, and I think you guys really like the transfer news. So yeah, big up to you guys that have been watching. We'll have that back fired up at the end of the season as well. So cheers, everyone. Up the Villa.